Story 1. The Man at the Window. I was about 12, home alone for the first time. My parents had gone to a dinner party, and I was excited to have the house all to myself. Everything was normal at first. I had the TV on, snacks out, the usual. Then, I started hearing noises. Soft, almost like footsteps on the porch. At first, I thought it was just the wind. Okay, but then I heard a tap at the window. It wasn't a knock, more like a finger dragging across the glass. My heart started racing. I tiptoed to the living room window. Outside, no one, just shadows moving. I tried to calm myself, telling myself it was a branch or an animal, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The air suddenly felt heavier, like something was pressing in on me from the corners of the house. I was 12, the first time I stayed home alone. My parents had gone out for a dinner party, and I thought it would be fun. At first, everything was normal. I watched TV, had some snacks, and felt the excitement of being on my own. Then I heard it. A soft tapping sound from the window. I froze. Maybe it was the wind, I told myself. But the sound came again. This time, slower, deliberate. Was someone really outside? Or was my mind playing tricks on me? I tiptoed to the window, careful not to make a sound. The blinds were swaying slightly, even though the air felt still. I peered through a crack and saw nothing but shadows, just the dark outline of the yard. The hair on my arms stood up. I went back to the living room, trying to convince myself it was nothing. But then I heard footsteps, faint, dragging, moving across the porch. Was it really footsteps, or just the house settling? I gripped the edge of the couch, heart pounding. Steps stopped suddenly. Silence fell over the house, heavy and suffocating. I could hear my own breathing. Then a tap at the window. One sharp knock, like a knuckle against glass. I jumped, nearly dropping my snack. I wanted to scream, but my voice was gone. What if someone was watching me right now? I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the drawer. My small hands shook as I held it tightly. The lights flickered, making the shadows dance across the walls. I tiptoed toward the hallway. Every step I took echoed like thunder. Then I saw it, a dark shape at the end of the hall. Was it just a trick of the light? Or was someone really there? I froze, staring at the shadow. It didn't move, but I could feel its presence. My stomach twisted. My knees threatened to give out. I backed into the living room, trying to make sense of it. The shadow stayed. I couldn't see features, just a dark blur. Then I remembered the phone. I ran to the wall and picked it up. No dial tone, just static. A cold dread washed over me. I heard breathing, slow, deliberate, coming from somewhere behind me. I whipped around. Nothing, just the empty hallway. Was someone hiding in the house? How did they get in? I ran to my bedroom and locked the door. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I tried calling my parents again. Still nothing. Then I saw movement in the corner of the room. A shadow, barely visible, creeping along the wall. My heart raced so fast, I thought it would burst. Was it my imagination, or something worse? I hid under the covers, clutching the knife. Every creak, every whisper of wind made me jump. I tried to make myself calm, but the feeling of being watched wouldn't leave. Hours passed like minutes. Every little sound made me flinch. Then I heard scratching at the window, slow, deliberate. I couldn't move. I didn't dare breathe. The scratching grew louder. Finally, when the sun started rising, everything went quiet. I peeked out the window. Empty yard, empty porch, no sign of anyone. When my parents came home, they laughed it off. "It's just your imagination," they said. But I knew better. Was it imagination though? Or had someone been there, watching me all night? Years later, I found out there had been a man living in the crawl space beneath our porch, could move silently, unseen, and he had been known to watch homes while people slept inside. Even now, when I'm home alone, I swear, I feel that presence. That shadow, waiting, watching. Could he still be out there, somewhere, waiting for the next time the house is empty? I went back to the kitchen to grab a drink, trying to convince myself everything was fine. Then, I heard it, soft creak from the hallway. I froze. Slowly, I peered down the hall. The shadow was moving, just at the edge of the living room light. I couldn't tell if it was a person, just a dark shape. I tried calling out, but my voice shook. The shadow didn't move toward me, but it didn't leave either. It stayed just there, barely visible. My stomach twisted. I ran to the bedroom and locked the door, heart pounding so hard it hurt. I dialed my parents, but the line was dead. That's when I noticed the window blinds were swaying. Even though all the windows were closed, went back to the kitchen to grab a drink, trying to convince myself everything was fine. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. Even the hum of the refrigerator sounded louder than normal. My hands shook slightly as I poured the water, glancing around like I expected someone to appear at any second. Then I heard it, a soft creak from the hallway. My body froze mid-motion. The sound wasn't from the floorboards I had just stepped on. It was further down where the shadows pooled in the corners. I held my breath, listening. Was someone really there? Or was it just the house settling? Slowly, I peered down the hall. A shadow was moving, just at the edge of the living room light. It was darker than the darkness itself, a shape that didn't belong. My stomach twisted, and my hands clenched the glass so tightly I thought it might break. I couldn't tell if it was a person or just a trick of the light. The shadow didn't have a face. It didn't even seem to breathe. I swallowed hard and tried to call out. My voice shook, barely a whisper, swallowed by the silence. Why wasn't it moving toward me? And why didn't it leave? I'd stayed just there, barely visible, like it was waiting. I wanted to move, to run, but my feet felt heavy. My heartbeat thudded so loudly I could almost hear it in the empty walls. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from that dark shape. I ran to the bedroom and locked the door, my heart pounding so hard it hurt in my chest. I grabbed my phone and dialed my parents, but the line was dead. Nothing, just silence. Cold sweat coated my back. That's when I noticed the window blinds were swaying, even though all the windows were closed. Could the shadows see me from there? Or was it something else entirely? I crouched near the bed, listening. Every creak of the house sounded magnified. The faintest tap against the wall made me jump. I wanted to scream, but my throat had gone dry. The air felt heavier, almost pressing down on me. Was the shadow moving closer? Or was my mind making it move? Minutes passed like hours. The swaying blinds caught my attention again. It wasn't random. The motion was deliberate, slow, like someone was watching, moving them just enough to make me notice. My hands shook as I pressed my back against the wall, eyes fixed on the door. Still, footsteps, soft, deliberate, pacing outside my bedroom door. My heart leaped into my throat. I wanted to bolt, but I didn't know where to go. The room felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. What if it knew I was here? What if it wasn't just a shadow? I grabbed the baseball bat I had under the bed, holding it so tightly my knuckles turned white. Every breath I took seemed loud enough to wake the shadow. The footsteps stopped. The silence returned. I waited, counting seconds that felt like years. Then the blinds moved again, faster this time, and I realized something. The shadow had never left. It was outside my bedroom door, waiting, patient, silent. Was I really alone? Oh, had I never been alone at all? I didn't sleep that night. I stayed crouched against the wall, eyes fixed on the door. The shadow didn't move. It didn't need to. It just waited. I felt it watching me, studying me from somewhere I couldn't see. By morning, everything seemed normal again. The blinds hung still. The hallway was empty. The shadows of the night had disappeared, but I knew better. That shape was still out there, somewhere in the house, watching, waiting, and sometimes, when I pass that hallway in the daylight, I swear I see it again. Just a dark shape at the edge of my vision, disappearing whenever I blink. Who or what was in my house that night? Will it ever leave? Minutes felt like hours. Every little sound made me jump. Then, I saw it out of the corner of my eye, a reflection in the dark TV screen. A man standing at the window behind me. I spun around, but the window was empty again. I didn't sleep that night. When my parents came home, everything looked normal. They laughed it off when I told them about the man at the window. But I knew what I saw. And sometimes, even now, when I'm home alone, I swear I see that shadow lingering in the corner of my eye. Twist ending. I never told anyone, but later I found out there had been a man living in the crawlspace under our porch. He could move through the house silently without making a sound. Minutes felt like hours. Every little sound made me jump. The house was unnervingly quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I kept hearing creaks from the floorboards, soft and deliberate. Each one made my stomach twist into knots. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, that the house was just settling, but my instincts screamed otherwise. Then I saw it out of the corner of my eye, a reflection in the dark TV screen. A man standing at the window behind me. My heart stopped. I froze, staring at the reflection as my chest pounded. My hands shook uncontrollably, and I couldn't decide whether to run or stay perfectly still. Was he really there, or was my mind playing tricks on me? I spun around, almost falling over. The window was empty. Nothing but the backyard, bathed in shadows from the streetlight. I could feel my skin crawling. My pulse raced like a drum, echoing in my ears. I backed away slowly, never taking my eyes off the glass. Could he have disappeared that fast? Or was I seeing things? I crept to the kitchen, gripping a heavy knife I found in the drawer. The metallic chill of the handle did nothing to calm my shaking hands. Every shadow in the room seemed darker than normal. Even the small flicker of the fridge light looked threatening. I tiptoed toward the back door, listening for anything that might betray movement. The silence pressed down on me. It was thick, almost suffocating. Each breath sounded loud in the stillness. I thought I heard faint footsteps upstairs. My stomach dropped. I lived alone. Nobody else was supposed to be home. Were the footsteps real, or just echoes in my mind? I backed into the living room and stared at the window again. The man wasn't there, but I could feel him. It was a presence unseen, oppressive. The hairs on my neck stood on end. My eyes darted to every dark corner, every reflection, every shadow. Suddenly, the blinds twitched. A faint movement, but deliberate. My hands tightened around the knife. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My throat felt dry, constricted. Was he trying to get my attention, or warning me? I ran to my bedroom and locked the door, breathing hard. I crouched on the floor, pressing my back to the wall. Every creak of the house made my heart leap. Even the ticking of the clock sounded like a loud drum, expecting it to burst open at any moment. The minutes dragged on. My mind raced with every possible scenario. I imagined footsteps creeping closer, shadows moving along the walls, and the man at the window grinning at me. My hands shook as I checked the knife again. Could he really move so silently? I heard the floorboards creak again, closer this time. A soft shuffle, deliberate, methodical. I held my breath, listening. The sound stopped. Then another noisy tap at the window, slow and deliberate. I swallowed hard. My eyes darted toward the glass. Empty. Was he playing with me, or just watching silently? I didn't dare sleep. I sat on the bed, knife across my lap, staring at the bedroom door and the window. Gosh, every little noise made me flinch. The wind outside rattled the blinds, and I flinched at every shadow that moved. The hours passed like days. Every small sound, every flicker of light made me jump. The house felt alive, almost as if it were aware of my fear. The sense of being watched never left me. Could he have been moving in the walls, above the ceiling, below the floors? Morning came, but it didn't help. When my parents returned, everything looked normal. They laughed when I told them about the man at the window. It was just your imagination, they said. But I knew what I saw. The reflection had been real. Could imagination feel that real? Could a shadow linger that long? I tried to forget, but I couldn't. Even now, years later, when I'm home alone, I sometimes catch movement at the corner of my eye. A dark shape where there shouldn't be one. My skin crawls. My stomach twists. Was it him? Something else? I never told anyone the full story, but later I found out something chilling. There had been a man living in the crawl space under our porch. He could move through the house silently. He could appear and disappear without making a sound. Had he been watching me that night? Had he been waiting? Sometimes, when I hear the faintest creak in my own house, my heart still pounds. I check every window, every corner, every reflection. Sometimes, just for a second, I see a shadow, waiting, watching, silent. Would he come back if I were home alone again? Story 2, The Late Night Caller. I was 16, and my parents were on vacation. I was supposed to be studying, but I ended up scrolling on my phone until late. Around midnight, the phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? I answered, a little annoyed. Silence. Then, a low whisper. I see you. I laughed it off, thinking it was some stupid prank. But then the whisper said, I see you in the kitchen. I froze. My kitchen light was on. Nobody was supposed to be there. I slowly crept toward the window, half expecting to see someone outside. Nothing. I was 16, home alone while my parents were on vacation. The house felt bigger than normal. Every creak of the floorboards echoed through the empty rooms. I was supposed to be studying, but I ended up scrolling on my phone. Time slipped away faster than I realized. Around midnight, the phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. I frowned, annoyed. Who could be calling at this hour? I hesitated, then answered. Hello? Silence. Just static. I shifted the phone in my hand, glancing around the darkened room. Was it really nothing? Or was someone waiting on the other end? Then I heard it, a low whisper. I see you. I froze, my hand clutching the phone. I laughed nervously. It had to be a prank, some stupid joke. But then the whisper came again, closer this time. I see you in the kitchen. I swallowed hard. My kitchen light was on. Nobody was supposed to be there. My heart started pounding. I couldn't tell if I should run or check. The whisper repeated in my head, chilling me to my bones. Could someone really be inside my house? I crept toward the kitchen, my phone still pressed to my ear. Each step made the floorboards groan beneath me. Shadows stretched across the walls. My hands shook. I stopped at the doorway, trying to see through the dim light. Nothing. Empty. Was my mind playing tricks on me? Or was it something worse? I checked the windows. They were all locked. The back door was closed. Everything seemed normal. But the air felt heavier, colder. My chest tightened. I could hear my own breathing, harsh and fast. Then came the sound. Footsteps upstairs, soft, deliberate, moving slowly from one end of the hall to the other. My stomach twisted. I lived alone. Nobody should be there. Was someone hiding? Or was it just the house settling? I bolted to the living room and grabbed a baseball bat. My hands shook as I gripped it tightly. Every shadow in the room seemed alive. The light from the street lamp outside flickered across the walls. My heart thumped like a drum in my ears. I listened. Okay? The footsteps stopped. Silence fell over the house. My skin crawled. I felt the presence again, closer, somewhere just beyond the walls. Was it moving toward me, or just waiting? I crept to the staircase, bat raised. The air was thick. Every creak sounded like someone following me. My pulse pounded. I whispered, "Hello," but no answer came. Just a soft tapping behind me. I spun around. Empty hallway. My hand shook as I gripped the bat. I could feel someone's gaze on me, though I couldn't see them. Every shadow looked like a person waiting to strike. Was I being paranoid, or was someone really here? I backed into my bedroom and locked the door. My phone rang again. Same unknown number. My heart froze. I hesitated, then answered. Silence. Then the whisper. "Why are you hiding?" I dropped the phone, almost screaming. My hands were trembling. My mind raced. Should I call the police? Should I run? Every instinct told me to escape. Where was the person? And how had they gotten inside? I crouched by the window, trying to stay hidden. The blinds swayed slightly. A shadow passed across the room. My pulse raced. I didn't dare breathe too loudly. Every sound seemed amplified in the silent house. Was the shadow moving closer? Or had I imagined it? Hours passed like an eternity. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. Every sound whined, rattling the blinds, the refrigerator humming. Distant traffic made me jump. My hands still shook. My heart still pounded. Then I heard it again. The whisper, coming from the hallway, soft and deliberate. "I see you." My blood ran cold. I gripped the bat like my life depended on it. Could they have been inside all night? By morning, everything seemed normal again. The blinds were still. The footsteps had vanished. I tried calling my parents, but they laughed it off, saying it was probably a prank call. But I knew better. Was it just a prank, or had someone really been watching me? I never found out who it was. The number was untraceable. My phone never rang from it again. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm home alone, I swear I hear that whisper echo in the quiet rooms. Will they ever come back? Or were they never gone at all? I hung up and tried to tell myself it was a joke, but the phone rang again. Same number, same whisper. I ran to the front door to check if anyone was there, but the porch was empty. Then I heard it. Footsteps upstairs. I lived alone, so I knew I hadn't made them. They were soft, deliberate, walking back and forth. My heart raced. I grabbed a baseball bat and started moving through the house, calling out, but no one answered. I hung up the phone and tried to tell myself it was just a joke, a prank call from someone bored and cruel. But then the phone rang again. Same number, same whisper, soft and deliberate. "I see you." I froze, my chest tightening. The walls suddenly felt closer, the air heavier, like the house itself was holding its breath. Was someone really in the house? Or was it just my imagination? I ran to the front door, heart pounding in my ears. The porch was empty. Nothing moved. Just the familiar darkness of the yard, stretching under the pale glow of the streetlight. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the doorknob. Was I truly alone? Or was someone hiding, waiting for me to see them? I stepped back into the hallway, trying to calm myself. Then I heard it. Footsteps, upstairs, soft, deliberate, back and forth. My stomach knotted. I lived alone. Nobody should be walking up there. What if it wasn't imagination? What if someone was really inside? I grabbed the baseball bat from under the bed. Its weight was comforting, grounding me, though my hands still trembled. I whispered my own name to remind myself I was real, that I was alive. The silence pressed in around me. Every shadow seemed like it was watching. Would the footsteps come closer? Had they already been watching me? I crept through the house, calling out, trying to sound braver than I felt. "Hello? Is someone there?" No answer. Just the soft hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the house settling. My heart beat so loudly I was sure the intruder could hear it. Was the house really empty? Or was I just too scared to see? I tiptoed to the living room, listening to every noise. The footsteps had stopped upstairs. Silence settled over the house. Too quiet, My pulse raced, matching the rhythm of my shallow breathing. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Then I realized something worse. The footsteps weren't upstairs anymore. They were in the hallway behind me. My stomach turned to ice. My blood ran cold. My mind screamed at me to run, but my feet felt rooted to the spot. Was it real, or had fear finally made me hallucinate? I spun around slowly, gripping the bat so tightly my knuckles whitened. The hallway was empty. The shadows lay still across the walls. Nothing moved. My breath came in sharp, shallow gasps. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to get out. Could someone really move silently through the house like that? I backed toward the stairs, bat raised, listening for even the slightest sound. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the house made my chest tighten. I pressed my back against the wall, waiting. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. Why was it so quiet all of a sudden? Then I heard it again, a shuffle, barely audible, coming from the hallway behind me. My heart lurched. My hands shook violently. I whispered a prayer under my breath, hoping it would give me courage. Was I about to see it, or was it waiting to strike? I edged toward the stairs, glancing over my shoulder every few seconds. The shadows seemed darker, heavier. The air was colder, the faint smell of something metallic filling my nostrils. My pulse raced uncontrollably. Could it be someone standing just out of sight? The phone rang again. My hands froze. Hadn't touched it. Same number, same whisper. Why are you hiding? I dropped the phone, almost screaming. My knees gave out slightly, and I sank against the wall. Was the voice inside the house this time? I gripped the bat again and slowly turned, peering into the hallway. Nothing. The silence stretched like a living thing. Then I heard it as soft, deliberate breathing. Close, too close. My skin crawled. Was it right behind me, or was I imagining it? I inched forward, heart hammering. Every step sounded amplified. The hallway seemed longer than it should. Shadows pooled along the edges, moving slightly as if alive. I felt watched, like the walls themselves were observing me. Could it see me even now? I reached the living room, empty. My pulse thundered in my ears. I listened. The footsteps had stopped again, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was there, just out of sight, patient, waiting. Would it make the next move, or let me escape this time? I stayed crouched near the stairs, bat ready, every muscle tense. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. I had no sense of time. Every noise made me flinch. The whisper came again in my mind, though no phone had rung. I see you. Had it been here all along? Or had it only arrived once I felt safe? Morning came at last. The sun streamed through the windows. Everything looked normal. The hallway was empty. The shadows receded. I exhaled a shaky breath, trying to convince myself it had been imagination. But deep down, I knew better. The presence hadn't left. It was still there, somewhere in the house, watching, waiting, silent. Would it return the next time I was home alone? Or was it already inside? I bolted into the bedroom and locked the door. The phone rang again. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. This time, the whisper came from inside the house, not the phone. "Why are you hiding?" it said. My blood ran cold. I ran out the back door and didn't T-stop until I got to my neighbor S house. When the police checked, they found nothing. No sign of a break-in. Twist ending. The number that had called me wasn't from any phone company. When I tried calling it back, it was permanently disconnected. But sometimes, I swear, my phone rings late at night, and I hear that whisper again. I bolted into the bedroom and locked the door behind me. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it would burst through my chest. The room felt smaller than usual, like the walls were closing in. Every shadow seemed darker, stretching and twisting in ways that made my stomach churn. My hands were shaking as I clutched the doorknob. listening for any sound from the hallway. Then the phone rang again. My hands trembled as I picked it up. Didn't even check the number. I already knew it was the same one from before. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my breath. The silence on the line was deafening. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears, each thump louder than the last. Was it really just a prank? Or was someone inside the house? Then the whisper came. This time, it didn't sound like it was coming from the phone. It was inside the house, right there, in the room with me. "Why are you hiding?" it said. My blood ran cold. The hair on the back of my neck stood straight up. I froze, unable to even think. Could it be possible? Was someone really here? Cold. I felt the air grow colder, heavier. My skin crawled, as if 1,000 eyes were watching me from the dark corners. The shadows on the walls seemed to shift closer, moving with a life of their own. My hands shook so violently, I almost dropped the phone. Should I run or stay and face whatever this was? I didn't wait to decide. I slammed the door open and ran out the back door. The cold night air hit my face, shocking me into motion. My feet pounded against the grass, my breath coming in sharp, ragged gasps. Every creak of the floorboards inside the house seemed to chase me out into the dark. Would it come after me? Was it following? I didn't stop until I reached my neighbor's house. I pounded on the door, yelling for help. My chest heaved and my hands were trembling so badly I could barely knock. The neighbor opened the door, her face pale as I explained what happened, breathless and panicked. Eyes, was it still in the house, waiting for me to return? The police came quickly. They searched the entire house, every room, every closet, the attic, and the basement, but they found nothing. No sign of a break-in, nothing out of place. The house looked exactly as it had when I ran out. How could someone have been there then? They said it must have been a prank call, but my instincts screamed otherwise. My parents didn't come home for another 2 nights. I stayed at my neighbor's, terrified to go back. Every little sound, every creak or gust of wind made me flinch. Was the house empty, or was it still waiting? When I finally returned home, I inspected everything carefully. All the windows were locked. The doors had not been forced. Nothing was moved or broken. But the feeling didn't leave me. Something had been there, something I couldn't see. Could it move silently? Could it vanish before anyone saw it? The number that had called me wasn't from any phone company. When I tried calling it back, it was permanently disconnected. There was no record, no trace, no explanation. Was it even human? Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and I'm alone, my phone rings. I see no caller ID, no number, just a blank screen. I answer it instinctively, and I hear the whisper again. "Why are you hiding?" I drop the phone. My hands shake. My heart races. I glance around the room, certain I'm not alone. The shadows seem darker, deeper. Every corner feels alive. Is it back, or was it never gone at all? I check every lock, every window. Nothing has changed. Yet the feeling remains. It's that presence, watching, waiting, silent, patient. Will it ever leave me alone? I try to sleep, but every little noise wakes me instantly. The hum of the fridge, the creak of a floorboard, even my own breathing seems amplified. I feel it in the air, in the shadows, always, just beyond my sight. Is it watching me now, or am I imagining it again? Even when I leave the house, I feel its eyes follow me, in the reflection of a store window, in a darkened room. I swear I see it, always watching, always waiting. Will it call again tonight, or wait for another time when I'm alone? Story 3, The Reflection in the Mirror. I was 14, home alone while my parents ran errands. I was bored, so I went upstairs to my bathroom to brush my teeth. The bathroom had a big mirror, the kind that showed your whole reflection. I was staring at myself when I noticed something strange. My reflection didn't move exactly when I did. It was delayed, a little slower, like it had a mind of its own. I blinked. Everything seemed normal. But then my reflection smiled. I wasn't smiling. I was 14, home alone while my parents ran errands. The house was quiet, too quiet. Even the ticking of the clock sounded louder than normal. I was bored, restless, and decided to go upstairs to brush my teeth. The bathroom at the end of the hallway had a big mirror, the kind that reflected your entire body. I stared at myself in the glass, my toothbrush idly moving in my mouth. Everything looked normal at first. My hair was messy, my eyes tired from the day. The tiles reflected the dim light, and I could see my whole figure framed in the mirror. Was I imagining it, or did the mirror look different somehow? I moved my hand to adjust my hair. My reflection followed, but slightly delayed. A fraction of a second behind. I froze, staring at the glass. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe I had just imagined the delay. I blinked, hoping it would fix itself, but it didn't. I raised my eyebrows. The reflection raised them a beat later. I frowned. The reflection frowned even later than that. My heart started beating faster. My stomach twisted into knots. Something wasn't right. Was my reflection moving on its own, or was it just a trick of the light? I tried, smiling, slowly, carefully. My lips moved. My reflection's lips didn't move immediately. Instead, they curled into a grin before I had finished. My stomach dropped. I wasn't smiling, but it was. I stepped back. The tiles under my feet felt colder than usual. My breath fogged slightly in the dim light. I could hear my heartbeat thundering in my chest. Every instinct screamed at me to turn away, but I couldn't. I couldn't look away from the mirror. Why was it smiling at me? I blinked again. Reflection blinked later, just a moment behind. Its grin widened slowly, unnaturally, like it was enjoying something I couldn't understand. I shook my head. Maybe I was seeing things. Maybe fear was making me hallucinate. Could it really have a mind of its own? I turned slightly, hoping to get a different angle. My reflection stayed facing me perfectly. It mirrored the room in the background, but it didn't mimic me. It moved as if it were alive, waiting, studying. My teeth felt cold. My hands were clammy. What did it want? I tried to speak. My voice caught in my throat. "Hello?" I whispered. My reflection's lips moved a fraction later, forming words I didn't say. My pulse skipped a beat. I stumbled back, hitting the counter with a thud. Was it talking to me, or just mocking me? I ran my fingers over the sink, trying to steady myself. The reflection's eyes followed me perfectly, calm and deliberate. They were darker than mine, somehow colder. I felt my knees weaken. My chest heaved as I struggled to breathe. Could it reach out from the mirror? I stepped closer, daring myself to touch it. My hand moved toward the glass, trembling. The reflection's hand met mine a moment later, but its fingers lingered longer than mine. It's too long, like it wanted to connect. I yanked my hand back. Was it trying to grab me? I glanced at the toothbrush, still in my mouth. The reflection held it perfectly, mimicking me but delayed. Its movements were deliberate, taunting, swallowed hard, trying not to panic. The grin never left its face. Why was it smiling like that? I spun around, looking for another exit. The door behind me was just the same as I had left it. The bathroom light flickered slightly, making shadows dance across the walls. I could hear my own shallow breathing, sharp in the silence. Was I really alone? I forced myself to look back at the mirror. The reflection didn't blink immediately this time. It leaned slightly forward, tilting its head. The smile widened unnaturally. My stomach dropped to the floor. Every hair on my arms stood up. Was it planning something, or just observing? I stumbled backward to the wall, trying to put distance between us. The reflection's grin never faded. It moved slowly, deliberately, mimicking me only when it chose to. My mind screamed to run. My body wanted to freeze. Could I escape if it stepped out of the mirror? Grabbed the toothbrush and waved it at the glass. Desperate. The reflection mimicked me but delayed. And then it smiled wider, almost menacingly, holding a motion I hadn't done. My teeth chattered. Was it controlling me, or just playing some cruel game? I backed toward the door, heart hammering. The reflection stayed behind me, watching, smiling, alive in a way that didn't feel human. The air in the room grew heavy, suffocating. I could hear a faint tapping sound behind me, like nails on glass. Was it coming for me? I ran out of the bathroom and slammed the door. My hands shook violently. The hallway seemed longer than before, darker. I dared not look back, but the sound of footsteps, or was it just my imagination, echoed faintly behind me. Would it follow me beyond the mirror? I hid in my bedroom, chest heaving, ears straining for any sound. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Every little reflection window glass, picture frames, my phone screen felt alive. I was terrified to look at anything. Could it be watching me through every reflective surface? By morning, the sunlight spilled across the floor. The mirror in the bathroom looked normal again. No grin, no delay, nothing. But I knew better. That reflection wasn't gone, okay? It was still waiting, patient, hidden behind the glass. Would it ever smile at me again? Or had it been planning something for later? I backed away, heart racing. I told myself it was a trick of the light. Maybe my imagination, okay? I turned my back to the mirror and tried to leave, but then I felt a tap on my shoulder. I spun around. Nobody was there. The reflection was still smiling, wider, louder. It mouthed words I couldn't hear. I grabbed a towel and tried to cover the mirror, but the reflection moved around the towel, still grinning, still watching. I backed away slowly, my heart hammering in my chest. Every breath felt heavier than the last. The air in the bathroom clung to my skin like a damp fog. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just a trick of the light. Crud, just my imagination playing games with me. But if it was only my imagination, why did it feel so real? I turned my back to the mirror, refusing to look at it again. My hand reached for the doorknob, fingers shaking. The cold metal sent a chill up my arm. I told myself it would end if I just left the room. If I ignored it, it couldn't hurt me. Could I really walk away that easily? That's when I felt it, a soft tap on my shoulder. My blood ran cold instantly. I spun around so fast I nearly lost my balance. Nobody was there. Nothing but empty air and the faint hum of the bathroom light above me. My throat tightened. Was something standing there seconds ago? Slowly looked back at the mirror. That's when I saw it. My reflection was still smiling, but the smile was wrong. Too wide, too stretched. It was grinning at me like it was mocking me. My knees felt weak. I couldn't breathe properly. Why was it still smiling when I wasn't? The reflection's lips began to move. Soundless words. I leaned closer, straining to catch them, but nothing came out. My reflection was trying to speak to me. My skin prickled. I wanted to run, but my legs refused to move. I was trapped in its gaze. What was it trying to say? Desperate, I grabbed a towel hanging by the sink. My hand shook as I tried to throw it over the glass, but before the fabric even touched the surface, the reflection shifted. It slid around the towel, still staring at me, still grinning. My chest tightened. How could it move without me moving? The towel dropped from my hands. My reflection tilted its head. The grin only grew wider, stretching in ways a human mouth shouldn't. My stomach churned as I realized the truth. It wasn't copying me anymore. It was acting on its own. Did that mean it was alive? I stumbled backward until I hit the wall. The light above me flickered, shadows darting across the room. My reflection leaned closer in the glass, as if the barrier between us was thinning. My pulse throbbed in my temples. Sweat slid down my back. Could it step out of the mirror? I lunged for the bathroom door and yanked it open. The hallway beyond was dark, silent. I hesitated, afraid to leave the mirror behind, but even more afraid to stay. My reflection was still there, grinning wider, its eyes locked on me with chilling intent. Would it follow me if I ran? I slammed the door shut and pressed my back against it. My breathing was ragged, my chest rising and falling in uneven bursts. I tried to calm down, but then I heard it. A faint scratching sound, fingernails against glass, coming from inside the bathroom. Was it trying to break through? I pressed my palms to my ears, but the sound only grew louder, a steady scrape. My reflection's grin burned into my mind, even with the door closed. I could still see it, could still feel it. It was like the mirror was alive, whispering through the walls. How could I still see it with my eyes closed? The scratching stopped. The silence that followed was worse. I forced myself to peek back inside. The mirror looked normal. My reflection matched me perfectly again. The grin was gone. The bathroom was still and quiet. I let out a shaky breath. Was it finally over? I bent down to pick up the towel from the floor. That's when I froze. The towel wasn't where I had dropped it. It was folded neatly on the counter. My chest went cold. A reflection stood behind me in the glass, smiling once again. Did it move the towel? I spun around, but the room was empty. My pulse thundered in my ears. The reflection grinned wider, its eyes glowing faintly. My legs felt like lead. I could barely keep standing. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out of my mouth. Was it waiting for me to speak first? The light above me flickered one last time before going out completely. Darkness swallowed the bathroom. I fumbled for the door, but my hand brushed against something warm. Not the doorknob, a hand. It gripped mine tightly, holding me in place. Had it finally stepped out of the mirror? I ran downstairs, trying to escape, but in every reflective surface windows, picture frames, even the TV screen, I saw that same smile, that same face, watching me. Never stayed home alone after that, but a few weeks later, I caught a glimpse of my own reflection in a shop window. For a brief moment, it didn't move when I did. It just stared, grinning. Twist ending. Sometimes, when I look in the mirror at night, I swear I see it moving behind me, even when I'm standing perfectly still. I ran downstairs, heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. My breaths came out sharp, uneven. Every step echoed through the empty house like thunder in a cave. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't escape it. Every reflective surface caught me. Was it really following me, or was my mind unraveling? The living room window reflected the faint light of the street. And there it was again, that same smile. A face identical to mine, yet not mine at all. Its teeth too sharp, its grin stretched far too wide. I turned away, but it lingered in the corner of my eye. Was it watching me from inside the glass? The TV screen was black. It should have been blank. But when I looked closer, my reflection leaned forward. I wasn't moving. A face pressed closer against the screen until its features distorted, grinning at me as though it wanted to crawl through. Could it actually step out one day? Picture frames lined the hallway walls. Each one became another set of eyes, smiling, staring, mocking. Even in the tiny speck of glass covering my family photo, the grin returned. It was everywhere at once. Spun in circles, desperate, dizzy, terrified. How do you run from something inside every reflection? My chest tightened as I bolted for the kitchen. The tile floor was cold beneath my bare feet. My hands trembled as I yanked open cabinets, searching for, what? A weapon, something to cover the mirrors. My reflection stared back at me from the microwave door. What if it was waiting for me to give up? I lunged forward, ripping the plug from the wall. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought I was safe, but in that blackness, its eyes glowed faintly like two burning coals. The grin widened once more, mocking my attempts to escape. Did it know I was helpless? I stumbled backward, bumping into the fridge. The stainless steel surface shimmered under the kitchen light. I didn't even need to look. I could feel its eyes on me. I glanced anyway, and instantly regretted it. Its hand was pressed against the inside of the reflection. Was it trying to push through? Tears blurred my vision. I couldn't breathe. My head felt light. I gripped the counter, just to stay upright. Every reflective surface in the house seemed alive now, vibrating with energy. They weren't just mirrors anymore. They were doorways. Doorways to what? I sprinted upstairs, hoping to escape, but even the polished doorknob on my bedroom door betrayed me. My reflection grinned in that tiny circle of metal, warping and stretching with the curve. I froze, unable to look away, heart hammering harder. Was it laughing at me? I slammed my door shut and covered the mirror with a blanket. Then I unplugged the TV. Even my phone screen was turned face down. I sat in the corner of my room, shaking, staring at the carpet. My chest rose and fell in shallow bursts. Was I finally safe without reflections? Silence. Minutes dragged by. I dared to lift my head. That's when I noticed the faint glow. My laptop screen, black but still glossy. Across the room, in that reflection, it stood. Not me. Not anymore. It was standing behind me, grinning. Was it already in the room? I hurled the laptop to the floor. The crack of shattering glass echoed through my room. My chest burned as panic clawed at my ribs. For a moment, there was nothing. Just silence. Just the pounding in my skull. Then, a laugh, soft, muffled, from nowhere. Or was it from everywhere? I pressed my hands to my ears, rocking back and forth. The laugh grew louder, higher, more distorted. It sounded like me, but not like me at all. The reflections were no longer contained. The grin had spread beyond the glass. It was in my head now. How do you fight something inside your mind? After that night, I never stayed home alone again. My parents thought I was paranoid, unstable. But they didn't see it. They didn't see what I saw, okay? They didn't understand how every shiny surface in the house had turned against me. What if they started seeing it too? Weeks later, I tried to live normally again. I walked through town, keeping my eyes down, avoiding every window I passed. But one day, in the reflection of a shop window, I froze. My blood ran cold. My reflection didn't move when I did. Why was it staring when I wasn't? I tested it. I raised my arm. My reflection stood still. I blinked. It didn't. Then, slowly, it tilted its head. That same smile crept across its face. Wide, unnatural. It pressed a hand to the glass as though it wanted to step out. Would it follow me home this time? I stumbled backward, nearly falling into the street. Cars honked as I rushed away, but I couldn't look back. I knew it was still there, smiling, watching, waiting. That night, every dark surface in my room felt like an open doorway again. Was it only a matter of time before it crossed? Now, even weeks later, I can't escape it. At night, I sometimes glance into the mirror, just for a second, just to make sure I'm alone. But sometimes, when I stand still, I swear I see it moving behind me. And what if, one night, it doesn't stop? Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.